Hello, my friend. I have a special invitation for you. I have a new, potent, concentrated group coaching program called Crucible. We begin on April 10th. You can go check out timewitchery.com/crucible, and I'm going to tell you all about it at the end of the show. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Welcome to Mind Witchery. I'm your host, Natalie Miller, and I'm so glad you're here. Hello, my dear. Welcome to another episode of Mind Witchery. I'm so glad that you are here to learn a spell for disarming your inner worrier, the part of you that wonders what might happen, the part of you that tends to think about the future in terms of worst case scenarios, the part of you that looks to the future with dread and fear rather than with an eye toward potential and possibility. Okay, if I'm honest, this isn't exactly a spell. It's maybe a little bit more of an approach. It's a two-pronged approach. Because here is the thing about worrying. Worrying is really not grounded in the present, right? When we are worried, we are thinking ahead to what might happen. We're thinking, what if this? What if that? What if this happens? What if that happens? So our mind is moving into a future that's not here in our current experience. And of course, my love, the only place we really have the power to act is right here, in this present moment. Right now, I can make choices. I've chosen to lift my little dog, Kevin, up into my lap. He's down here in the studio with me, so maybe he'll snore for you again. I've chosen to talk about this topic today. I have made choices to be here in this present moment because that is where I get to take action, right here and right now, in this embodied present moment. When we're worrying, our mind is in a place that our bodies are not. We are attempting to deal with scenarios that we're not actually presently capable of managing or addressing. So I love, very first of all, when I'm disarming my inner worrier. And actually, let me just say for a moment, it is disarming. It's taking her weapons away, taking her harm-causing, fear-inducing power away. My inner worrier, I trust, is here for a good reason. She's here to help keep me safe, and that is her intention. It's just that her way of keeping me safe, actually, because she's always projecting into a future that's not actually here, her way of keeping me safe is not very helpful. It usually causes more anxiety than anything else. Right? So the very first thing I can do to disarm her is to get present, to just be here in this moment. So I love to do things that get me into my body and into my environment. So I might, for example, go for a walk in the woods. I might move in some way, do some kind of exercise. Maybe I'll go to the gym and lift weights so that I'm focusing on my own body here in this present moment. It's a checking back into the body because, of course, the body, like my power, is always right here. It's right here in the present moment. I also like to sometimes do something like put something into order that's right here around me. So decluttering a desktop, dusting a shelf off, folding some laundry, doing some dishes, cooking, those sorts of things. And I happen to be a person who loves those homemaking tasks, but those are all just examples of putting something right around me into order, in order to help me to be present here in this moment, in this environment, to remind me of my capacity to create peace, to be in flow, and to sustain myself. So getting present and bringing my mind into a present focused state is super helpful as a first approach to disarming the worrier. But because I honor that inner worrier and because I trust that she means well, she wants to help, she wants to protect. She doesn't go about it in the most helpful way, but that is her intention. I love to have conversations with her. So this is where I want to talk a little bit about a different approach to what if thinking. You probably know what I mean by what if thinking. It's like, ooh, it would be nice to move to a bigger house. And then, well, what if we don't like the neighborhood? What if the noise of the highway that's close by is too loud? What if the rent is higher than we can afford? We can afford it right now, but what if we can't afford the rent after a while? What if? So this is the inner worrier who is bringing to our attention items of concern. What I find that for me, for my clients, for my beloveds, is the usual approach is to take all of these what ifs and kind of shove them into like out of the kind of central channel of my attention. I sort of know that the what ifs are a big pile of trash, and I'm just like, let me push this out of the way. But I know from experience that when you shove the what ifs into a corner of your mind, when we don't actually engage with them, they just sort of fester. They grow, they keep pulling at us. They keep nagging at us. So what I love to do with what if thinking is to engage it straight on, to engage it, to say, okay, what if? Let me take this seriously. Let me project myself into that future circumstance. What if we don't like the neighborhood? Well, I mean, the lease we're signing is only for a year, so I guess we'll look for another place. I guess that's what I would do. What if it's too noisy? The noise of the highway that's close by is too much. What will we do? Well, we can keep the windows closed. It's not ideal, but we could certainly do that. What if we won't be able to afford the rent? Okay, what if? Well, there are various offers that I can make to make a little more money. We can get some more clients. We have some savings we could dip into. right? I take it very seriously, though. There's this really funny thing with worst case scenario thinking. It starts with the what if, but then it very quickly projects into the future where you are a homeless person living under a bridge and all of your belongings are in a shopping cart. Do you know what I mean? It's the what if I lost my job, and we kind of astral project into the worst of the worst case scenarios without really thinking about it. Yeah, what if I lost my job? What would I do? What are all of the small steps I would take? What are all of the resources I could tap into before I ended up under a bridge with my belongings in a shopping cart? And it turns out that when we take the inner worrier a little more seriously, when we answer her, that is inevitably what we do. We start to tap into resources. And very frankly, if we can't, if there's a what if that we don't have an answer to, well, that might be a what if that's worth listening to. The inner worrier, bless her, is here to help, is here to say, oh, change is energy intensive, because it is. The inner worrier understands that planet Earth is a challenging place to live. Understands that everything doesn't always go our way. And at the same time, our inner worrier does tend to a negativity bias. And she does tend, like I said, to kind of project forward into the worst of the worst case scenarios. But having a conversation with her, engaging each of the what ifs, is magical. Because what happens is we start to say, all right, let's deal with this in a resourceful, considerate, creative way, rather than just pushing it off to the side. And I think what you will find is that this does disarm the worry. The worry is still there, and my friend, it probably always will be. I don't like to promise a worry-free life. I don't know that that's possible. For me, it isn't. For me, a worry-free life very quickly begins to look like spiritual bypassing. It begins to look like only looking at the world through rose-colored glasses, and I prefer not to do that. I'm here to make this world better, and so I'm willing to look at some of the shit that is difficult here. When I'm willing to do that, it can be challenging sometimes to be hopeful. When I'm looking at and willing to look at what's not going well, it's a challenge sometimes to balance that with potential, with resourcefulness, with creativity. But that is precisely what to do. Okay, it's just a little one for you today. How to disarm your inner worrier. Number 1, get present. Bring your mind back into this present moment right here. Everything your inner worrier is bringing to you is not happening right now, because that's not worry. Worry is about what might happen, not what is happening. The place that you have power is right here in this present moment. So the first thing to do to disarm the inner worrier, to get her to put down her weapons, is to get present right here. And then part 2 is actually engaging the what if thinking. I did this with a client just today. What if my new program doesn't work? And I said, yeah, what if? What will you do? And interestingly, when she stopped pushing away the worry and actually engaged it, okay, let me put on my resourceful, creative, possibility-oriented perspective. Let me let that perspective have a conversation with the worrier. So the worrier says, what if the clients don't like it? What if the program doesn't work? Yes, what if? What will you do? And it turns out there are myriad things to do. That there's so many places to turn for help, so many resources, so many adjustments, big and small, that we can make. But only from a place of presence with the problem, only from a place that is creative and resourceful and willing to be with the worry. So your inner worrier, she gets to stay around, in my opinion. She gets to stay around. She gets to say, what if? But we love her. We put our arm around her and we say, yeah, let's talk that through. And as we do that, we see, oh, she's actually here on my side. Not to make me anxious, not to keep me up at night. She's here to keep me safe. She just has to learn how to be a little more effective at it. Or I gotta learn how to love her. All right, my loves, that's your spell for this week. A spell, okay, really an approach for disarming your inner worrier. Thank you so much for being here. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mind Witchery. To catch all the magic I'm offering, please subscribe to the show. Or if you want a little bit of weekly witchiness in your inbox, sign up for my Sunday letter at mindwitchery.com. If today's episode made you think of a friend or loved one, your sister, your neighbor, please tell them about it. We need more magic makers in this troubled world. Like all good things, this podcast is co-created by stellar people. Our music is by fabulous DJ, artist, and producer Shammy D. Our gorgeous art is by the sorcerers at New Moon Creative. Mind Witchery is produced in conjunction with Particulate Media, K.O. Myers, executive producer. And I am Natalie Miller. Till next time. Hello. As promised, here is a little bit of info about my new group coaching program called Crucible. You know what a crucible is? A crucible is a container in which transformation occurs. It's a strong container, basically like where you melt down metals so that you can make new things. You can make alloys. And my program is called Crucible because it is designed to give you a space where you can summon the courage, the inspiration, the momentum that you need to finally take action on, to finally manifest that thing that you have been wanting to do. And what is that thing? I don't know. That thing might be a new offer if you are an entrepreneur. That thing might be the idea for the book that's been swirling around in your head. It might be an outline for that book. It might be a whole short story. That thing might be a job description for the assistant that you've been wanting to hire. That thing might be your own podcast. Whatever that thing is that you keep thinking, oh, someday I'd really love to make this happen. Crucible says, let's do it now and let's do it together. So Crucible offers 7 weeks of group coaching. Crucible offers insight into how it is exactly that I take an idea and make it real. Right? Now, this is not about me kind of imposing my method onto you, but it is about sparking your own creativity and insisting on a self-honoring way of creating. Yeah? Crucible is about community with other people who are also making it happen. And I cannot even begin to put into words how valuable that is. How much of a difference it makes to be surrounded by other people who are expanding and growing into what's next. Crucible is in large measure about helping you to claim the time and energy that you need to create what's next. And so we'll use my anti-planner, Time Witchery, to do that. We will use co-working sessions that are hosted by Flow Club. I'm very excited about that part in particular. So Crucible is not assuming that you have the willpower and courage and time and energy to make this thing happen. In fact, Crucible says, oh yeah, let's give you a place to generate that, to generate all that you need in order to manifest what it is that you want next. So you are invited. You can go check out Crucible at timewitchery.com/crucible. We begin on April 10th. We go through April and most of May, and then we get to take off for the summer, having finally taken action on that thing that you've been toying with, flirting with, wondering about, dreaming about for so long. So again, more details at timewitchery.com/crucible. I super hope you will meet me inside.